hell's heart, I stab at thee. For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm sorry for purloining your ice cream on ice cream day. Purloining means stealing.
I think I swallowed my com badge.
How you gonna survive in space without a damn suit? Like I said, I'm Kyonian, bitch.
Hello, everyone. Jester Belly, aka Female Frodo Baggins, is here, and I made a big mistake. I made such a big mistake. I let curiosity get the best of me. And I decided to watch episode 1 of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. The cringe new show from Star Trek that everyone has, or a niche amount of people have been memeing on quite a bit, that I just couldn't resist. I had to watch the show. And here I am talking to you in a video that probably no one is gonna watch because no one cares about this show, and unfortunately, no one cares about Star Trek anymore. But I took it upon myself to watch the first episode, and they released it for free on YouTube. A release that seems to have backfired because last I checked, it only had 19,000 views in 12 hours for this show's premiere, an entire hour and 15-minute first episode. So, yeah, it seems to be a major flop, and I highly doubt anyone is going to watch this video. But like I said, I endured, I let curiosity get the better of me, and I sat through it. Now, I wouldn't blame most of my followers for not having any knowledge of Star Trek. Maybe some of you do. Star Trek as a show is dead. It is dead. It is another one of these many franchises that have been ripped apart by people behind the scenes for so many years that it has skipped over multiple generations, for the fact that I do believe Star Trek, the people who are fans of it, are an older crowd, and most of that older crowd has likely moved on at this point after they've destroyed it. I just know about Star Trek because my dad showed it to us as kids, because that's what he watched. But I gotta tell you, I haven't even tried to watch a Star Trek show since I took everyone's word for it that Picard Season 3 was going to be amazing, so I gathered my Star Trek family around to watch it because I thought they were gonna like it, and they hated it. But yeah, Star Trek has been devolved into nothingness. It's completely lost its identity. What was once an intelligent science fiction show has become everything but that. But Star Trek Starfleet Academy got my attention basically because of the memes, because this new attempt at a Star Trek show really seems to be an attempt to capture the youth, to capture Gen Alpha, with all of the new modern talk and modern phrases and all the modernity that modern audiences would expect and enjoy from a Star Trek show. I can't tell the two apart these days. Anyway, so let's get into it and let's get over with this quick. I watched Star Trek Starfleet Academy, and at least in the first half, I enjoyed myself in a so bad it's good kind of way. But yeah, anyway, this is Alex Kurtzman's attempt to make Star Trek a Gen Alpha thing. And Star Trek Starfleet Academy, I gotta say, I felt like I was watching a Disney project. I felt like the phrases and the cadence of the way that characters would talk and the way that adults would act in this show made me feel like I was watching a Disney Plus production, like I was watching a Descendants movie or something. But let's get right into it, what the experience is of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. So it starts off with Tatiana Maslany, She-Hulk actor, info dumping about everything that you need to know about this show for her son. And that's what the show does a lot. Like, they will exposition dump a lot. And for the first 20 minutes, it's characters vomiting their backstory, vomiting facts at the audience, because the writing in this show is so bad, they have no other idea of how to relay this information to the audience. Also, the acting in this show is so bad. It is worse than CW level. It is like high school play level acting at some points. It is so bad, and it is so cringe to watch. Anyway, the plot of this show is that there is this character, this Starfleet supervisor or whatever, or she was a captain once. I don't know. I don't care. She's nearing her 70s, and at one point she locked up a boy's mother because she was an accomplice for trying to steal some food, and the pirate she was working with killed someone. And so she locked that lady up and separated her from her son. Her son ran away and became a criminal and now is grown up. And now she is back at Starfleet years later, when Starfleet has changed, and she is trying to usher him back on Starfleet Academy to convince him that she can help reunite him with his mother, which is the basic plot of the show. Anyway, the first part of it is just cringe acting and exposition dumps and just this very weird quirkiness, because that's what we get in modern television today. Like, everything is Disney. Everything is Disney-fied. Everything is these quirky characters coming together. Anyway, you really get the sense of what the show is going to be when they finally reach Starfleet Academy. Now, I want to be clear about something here. So we've got this main character. I don't remember his name, and I don't care, but this main character who's been separated from his mother, and he became a criminal, and now he's just trying to take a deal with Starfleet so he can be reunited with his mother, and they showed him in the beginning of the show going after this lady that separated him from his mother, and now she wants to reunite them and make a deal with him. They showed him run up at her, and he had muscles upon muscles. He looked like he was on steroids. He was this big guy. We get to Starfleet Academy, and everyone becomes quirky McQuirkums, and everyone has their little silly moments and their quirky talk. He meets this lady, and I know from a fact she is from a species that is not supposed to have any female members, because they were a species that were genetically engineered to be soldiers and not to reproduce. Anyway, he meets this 5'2" lady who's this creature, and she tries to scream at him and talk him down and put him in his place and orders him to do push-ups. And it is so embarrassing because she is so short. And this is what I'm getting out here. They built up this character, this main character of the show. Like, oh, he's so strong and he's so tall. The ladies that they have putting him in his place, that are his superiors, are all like 2 feet shorter than him and either super skinny or super stout. And so it's when one of these ladies is trying to talk down to him and push him in his place, like she needs to scream at him from the bottom. It's like a dwarf trying to talk down a giant.
You think you are speaking with boy? You are in the presence of Laura Thok, daughter of Ashmeret, from the Klingon house of Dakhatash and the Jem'Hadar lineage of Kabaj. Now! Right now! On the floor!
Hey, damn.
And it's so unbelievable, and it's so forced and embarrassing that they are trying to make these ladies in the superior offices of Starfleet seem intimidating. But yes, while it starts out as just a bad show with some bad acting and bad writing with the exposition dumping, it did seem like it started off where it relatively wanted you to take it seriously. But once again, once we get to Starfleet Academy, it just becomes Disney's Descendants. And all of the adult characters that are supposed to be at this academy act like they're little kids on a Disney Channel show, where you've got them so that the lead character, he bumps into somebody, and then the bully character comes on and tries to mock him, and then it's like, stop, don't do that, don't start acting up. And then there's like this weird moment between these two grown men, the main character and this Klingon he meets, this Klingon who's supposedly supposed to be super sensitive, because, you know, we have the Klingons who are like the most toxically masculine culture ever in Star Trek. But for Starfleet Academy, of course, everything is sensitive and everything is feminized. I'm just going to say it. It's a very feminized show. But this Klingon who's supposed to be super sensitive, he like has a moment with the main character, and he's like, I like your binoculars.
They're cool.
I watch birds.
And it's like the moment where you see two 8-year-old boys bond over something on the playground. It is so cringe, and I am supposed to buy into these as two grown men at Starfleet Academy. Everything in this show is childish and feminized. It just feels, it's not a Star Trek show. Star Trek show Star Trek was a science fiction show. And yes, they were supposed to be a team of the Enterprise was supposed to be a research vessel. It was supposed to just seek out new life and new civilizations, and they just happened to get into a lot of combat. That wasn't the purpose of the Enterprise and the crew of the Enterprise, at least, on the original series in TNG, which I'm referencing, but they would just incidentally get into a lot of combat. But it was a very masculine show. It felt like a show that was written with people with military experience. It had its moments, it had its cringe episodes and all of that, but overall, it was a pretty serious masculine show that felt like it was 23rd century military. And this just turns it into like a middle schoolers thing, but how Disney would see middle schoolers, where they're even skewing younger than how middle schoolers behave. Anyway, there's not a ton left I can say about this show. It's super, super cringe, but in the beginning of the episode, this pirate guy, the one who killed someone and wound up getting his mother in jail, for whatever reason, he's out for revenge against the boy who's now grown up to be a criminal from the beginning. I don't understand why he's out for revenge. And he attacks the ship as it's on its way to San Francisco to be at the main Starfleet Academy or something. And basically, shenanigans and hijinks ensue, and they cannot handle this show. They cannot handle the seriousness of the situation, so they're constantly interspersing things with lots of what I guess they consider Gen Alpha humor and quirkiness.
Dying really gets the blood pumping, eh?
Ow.
You don't have to thank me.
It's just so whimsical and so quirky, isn't it?
Lieutenant Rourke will be our academic liaison. She'll make sure we don't miss any teachable moments along the way. Good. Everybody back to work.
It's basically just a show that needs to be watched in order to be believed. It's truly insane. And I'm not saying I'm as learned on Star Trek lore as other people, but my goodness, do they get it wrong so much. There was the lady in the beginning that's a female of a species that's not supposed to have a female species because they're genetically engineered soldiers that specifically aren't supposed to reproduce. There's the super sensitive Klingon. Of course, they would think that a Klingon needs to be super sensitive in a show like this. And then at the end, they show like a wide shot of all the different species on this vessel. And one of them is one of the half black, half white creatures like Beale and Loki were supposed to be in one of the episodes of the original series. And the entire point of that episode is their species is wiped out at the end. So yeah, that is Star Trek Starfleet Academy. And I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's really not worth it. But the only thing I have to say about it is I grew up watching Star Trek. I grew up watching Star Trek because of what my dad watched. A Wrath of Khan is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I always loved the original movies and the original series. I don't feel, though, that I'm as emotionally attached to what has happened with this franchise as other people, so I'm a little bit able to just laugh it off. But I do have to wonder, because there's been all this talk about how Paramount is supposed to be, the studio that's moving away from this kind of stuff, and the studio that's trying to really appeal to middle America or something. And I find that very confusing that when you see a show like this on that platform, I am wondering if they're going to use the fact that YouTube shows visibly that this show does not get viewership as reason to finally get rid of Alex Kurtzman and stop making Star Trek like this at all, because I do think Star Trek is dead. I don't think there's any coming back from this, but maybe we'll at least be at a point because that they'll stop making this stuff so that Star Trek fans don't have to suffer anymore, because I speak for myself. I understand most people probably don't care about Harley Quinn anymore, but I would just like them to stop making stuff with her. But the only thing good that might come out of this is the Red Letter Media reviews. I cannot wait to see Red Letter Media's reaction to this Gen Alpha attempt at a Star Trek show. So yeah, it's cringe, it's embarrassing, it's unbelievable, and it's really not worth anything other than the memes. So I don't intend on watching any other episodes, and it honestly does feel like a waste of time, but I just became curious enough, so I had to watch a bit of it. But do you guys think that this is the end? Do you think that Paramount, with the laughter that is going on with this bad show, is going to finally stop making Star Trek content with Alex Kurtzman, because it clearly isn't even profitable for them. It's not what's bringing people to the streaming service. It is disappointing, though, that we just live in a time where intelligent science fiction stories like franchises like Star Trek just cannot exist these days. Everything needs to be Disney-fied. Every character needs to look like they came from LA. Everybody needs to be quirky McQuirkface. Everything is just quirky humor 24/7. It's like, this is all Hollywood is. They live in this bubble and they think that this is all that there is and that this is the peak of writing. And according to reports, though, this show cost $20 million to make. $20 million for the worst acting and the worst writing. Can you believe that there are people who get paid tens of thousands of dollars or even millions of dollars to write these shows, to act in these shows, to produce these shows? This show had 14 producers. Hollywood is sitting on a backlot of money that they do not deserve, that they just continuously shovel at these awful shows. And it's just so infuriating to watch how they sit on a pile of money that they don't deserve, and that this is what they shovel it at. Star Trek fans with this kind of money, with only $500,000 could make something better than this. Unfortunately, the people at the top, they're still gonna, enjoy their millions that they made, producing this show, and that they're gonna lose off of this show, and it's not gonna change anything because Hollywood has just become so insulated with people who just want to make this kind of stuff and who will continuously fail upwards. But in the meantime, we get to see the rot that has come forth on streaming services and movies for theaters, because these are the tastes of the kind of people behind the scenes. But yeah, just wanted to do a quick video on this. What do you guys think of Star Trek Starfleet Academy? Or do you not like Star Trek at all? I wouldn't blame you with all the stuff they've released in the past 15 years, but let me know what you think in the comments below. Please support me on Patreon or membership if you like my work, and I will see you guys next time.